Hey guys, this is your daily dose of the internet. Today we're gonna be, I gotta do that guy's voice. How is that guy like? He sounds 13 to me. Didn't he reveal his face by accident one time and he had a beard and he looked all old and stuff? That was so weird. I don't know. What is the evolutionary advantage of humanity gaining a higher pitched voice? Because, And why do we all look younger at certain ages? I mean, yeah, it's hard life. That's supposed to be the reason, but I don't know. I don't really see the correlation. Oh, I misspelled can. I added an extra C. Why did I do that? I don't know why, but for quite a while I've been obsessively capitalizing certain letters in words whenever I type anything. It's like, and I used to not care about that back then at all. But now I'm like doing it all the time. I don't know. So, anyways, these are some cool historic facts that I can remember off the top of my head. This is a few days old, but oh no, it's not really a few days. It's like a day. So who knows? The tomatoes. All right, they're either sweet, but if you get them at the supermarket, they're very bitter or flavorless, which is why we consider them a fruit because they're not very sweet. Although some certain types of tomatoes are supposed to be bitter. Well, Italy's got a bunch of different crazy tomatoes. But anyways, yeah, tomatoes. Popular in Russia, Italy especially. I mean, they made it the most popular. Here in America, obviously. In the south of America, yeah. Britain, not really, although they do use it. China, now, only recently. It seems to have gone, or, well, well, none of the Chinese dishes actually seem to have tomatoes, but I've seen them use it quite a bit. Japan, well, forget it. I've never seen. I still don't think they use any tomatoes, even to this day. But where do they originate from? South America. This blew my mind. But it makes total sense. That means for a long time, Sicily did not use tomatoes in their food. They were introduced to the rest of the world around the late 1500s to the mid 1600s. Sardine can. I love these sardine cans, especially, well, only the ones in olive oil or just any oil. You know what you do? You get a paper towel, you fold it a bunch until it can fit right there. Light that, or let it soak up the oil a little bit first. Light that funker on fire. Watch as the oil keeps the flame going for a long time. Alright? Then it sizzles, and then, it fries it. You take it, and it's like, there's no fishy smell, or hardly any, especially in comparison to earlier. This is the greatest thing ever. I'm so glad I saw that one video where I got a top 10 things. I don't know. But anyways, this is in relation to tomatoes from earlier. Ketchup. Where was the first ketchup made? In China? And what was it made from? Fish. Exactly. Ketchup is a Chinese invention. Of course, back then, they didn't use tomatoes yet, so they made different types of ketchup. Or ketchup from everything else but tomatoes. Like mushrooms, for example. You ever heard of Townsend's? He does, what is it called? Well, it's 17th century type foods and 18th century type foods. You should learn how to do mushroom ketchup from him. He shows you. It smells horrible when you cook it, but, it tastes pretty good. Pretty weird, too. Yeast. What does yeast and tomatoes, grapes have to do with anything? Well, here's what it has to do. Wine was created from naturally occurring yeast particles on grape skin. Now, I don't know what they were going for back then. I don't know why they would want to heat up water. Wait, well, I don't know if you have to heat up water to make wine, but Basically, yeast naturally occurs on grapes, especially grapes. Yeast, then eats away the sugar and creates alcohol. And then we get wine. Now, it's one of the worst things humanity has ever basically had as a constant throughout its history, the history of the species. Well, I mean, murder is horrible, but I mean, death is inevitable. So, sometimes it's unavoidable like that, but slavery, I'm talking about slavery. This is the cotton gin. How did the modern world, at least in Western society, end slavery? Well, first it was the British. They figured that there was, I think it was a moral standing. And then America did it afterwards. Because of this invention, that's right. Slavery was eventually rendered obsolete in the UK and the US, well, mainly the US, thanks to technological evolution. The cotton gin made slavery completely pointless. You have a machine to do all that shit instead. I hope this is a cotton gin. If I got an incorrect picture, then I would look so stupid. But yeah, this is much more efficient and much more humane and more morally something. Now, as for China and the Middle East, I don't know what's going on there. Eggs. What about eggs? You can get them in bulk by the dozens at supermarkets or just any market. No brainer, easy to get. That's what makes chickens so good, because you can eat the animal and the stuff they produce, and they create eggs or they lay eggs without needing, another a mate or a male to implant that sperm cell in order to ferment it. But what about back then? Chicken eggs were expensive in the medieval times. Because guess what? You're not always going to get an egg. You can only get a limited amount of chickens for some reason. Feed, grain, which you're going to be using also to make bread from wheat. So yeah, these things were extremely rare. Okay, not really, but they weren't as rare as sugar, but Who's this guy? Did you know that this guy kept a sex slave in his basement in California? Yep, and his wife was in on it too. But I learned recently that Coca-Cola was meant to be a pain reliever, like Advil, a tastier Advil. Now, did the original inventor, succeed? No. Coke does not relieve your pain. It just makes you not sleep. And it tastes watered down now, so. Oh well. Peanut butter is the healthiest thing in the world, unless you get the kind that you don't need to remix the oil. Now, this is what I mean. I learned on how it's made that basically peanut butter is super healthy. It contains no harmful fats, and it's basically a superfood. The problem is that if you get something like this, where you don't have to mix because the oil collects to the top, then you have to mix it. But big deal. You see, the thing about some peanut butters, like this one and the light blue one, is that they put an extra ingredient in order to let that oil settle down and stay. That extra ingredient is unhealthy. So I suggest you to get the one where the oil, where it collects at the top. That's the best one. Who's this guy? He looks very familiar. I know I've seen him somewhere, but he's wearing a taco. He's wearing a sombrero, taco flails. The creator of Taco Bell went to Mexico to reference tacos. Exactly. Taco Bell, the most Americanized Mexican restaurant of all time. Next to Chipotle. And the guy actually went to their place of origin. Jesus, isn't it? This is, Milkmen don't exist anymore. Your wives are safe. They will not bang the milkmen anymore because they're not a thing. At least in the West, they might be still a thing in like third world countries. I don't know. Remember how popular they were in like old shows? Oh my gosh. This is Mikhail the Bard from Skyrim. Nice loop. Shakespeare is a bard. I don't know why it took me this long to realize that Shakespeare is a bard. So basically, if he was in an RPG or a fantasy game, he would be laughed at. Yeah. Oh, thank God. Alright, this is the end of the thingy. And, yeah, good night, and, good morning.